A lot of stuff's going on in the game industry. I haven't been reading up on a lot of the articles, but this one is pretty interesting. This one involves Bungie and Sony with Destiny. We already know there's stuff that was going on with, Marathon and things like that, and it's crazy. But the crazy thing is this, right? Imagine you giving somebody $200 million. First of all, $200 million, life-changing money, obviously, like generational wealth. Imagine giving that to somebody and they just burn it all away. So basically that's what happened with Sony. This is coming from the Game Post. It says Sony says Destiny 2's sales and user engagement have not reached what it expected when it bought Bungie, downwardly revising projections as it records a $204 million impairment loss on Bungie assets. Now, if you guys remember what happened with, if you guys know about Bungie before, it was like when you play, not Bungie, but yeah, Bungie before, like when Destiny 1 came out, it was very successful. It was doing very well. Where, if you were on PlayStation, then you got exclusives like to guns and raids and things of that nature. Actually, no, it wasn't raids. It was exotics. All the exotics you got like months early before, for a console, for Xbox. It wasn't on PC yet. So it was like, it's insane to see that happening, right? They thought it was going to do well. They, wanted to acquire them. They did. They purchased them. I think it was like somewhere in the million, I think it was a billion, something in the billions, probably, I believe. But we'll get into it. We'll get on to that. But it's just insane to see what happened. And then like now it's just like, it's downhill. It's like right when they invested into the company or into the studio, it just like went to complete hell. So let's go ahead and let's go deep dive in this. Destiny 2 is underperforming against its acquisition expectations, lowering projections and recording an estimated $204 million impairment tied to Bungie ahead of December's Renegades expansion. Renegades is the next expansion that is coming out in December, which we just said. That is like Star Wars. It's like a Star Wars theme. Like I saw some of the weapons and stuff that they have. It's like they got a lightsaber. One of them's a blaster. It's crazy. So Sony has acknowledged that many Destiny 2 players have felt this year. Engagement is down. Over the last few months, Destiny 2's player numbers have slipped to new lows on Steam, and based on API-driven estimates, fallen below the lows seen during the Curse of Osiris in 2018. Community sentiment has been rough. Now, if I recall, with the Curse of Osiris, when that happened, when that dropped, and it wasn't doing well, like they were almost considering closing the studio down, from what I recall. And I was like, holy crap, that's insane. And then that's when they did, I think Forsaken came out. I think it was Forsaken, and then Shadowkeep came out. But those like made a quick turnaround. So this one is rough, especially with Edge of Fate. Edge of Fate was kind of well, actually not kind of, it was a rough one. So they said that now Sony has put a hard number on the business impact in Sony's Q2 fiscal year 2025 earnings call. Sony recorded an impairment tied to Bungie's Destiny 2 assets and says it has downwardly revised its projections for the near term. Oof. It said write down is 31.5 billion yen, roughly $204 million USD at current exchange rates. So Sony says Bungie's Destiny 2 is underperforming. Why is that? It said this update comes straight from Sony's quarterly 2025 CFO Lin Tao, I believe is the name. If I mess that up, I'm completely sorry. During a pre-recorded message shared as part of Sony's financial presentation, Tao said that Destiny 2 has fallen short of what Sony anticipated. My brain's going fast. When it bought Bungie for $3.6 billion in 2022. So it was 3.6 billion. Damn. Wow. With a significant portion earmarked for employee retention. So like to avoid layoffs, but that still wasn't wasn't the case. That still happened. But then she explained that the 31.5 billion yen impairment against a portion of Bungie's intangible and other assets in connection with Destiny 2, along with other 18.3 billion yen expense tied to development cost corrections, were the main reasons why PlayStation's gaming segment and game network services G and S saw a drop in operating income despite of overall sales increase during the quarterly to 2025. If I get the if I'm hearing this correct, because of the mistakes that they had, like obviously for development, you have your budget and everything for development to work on the game and things like that. And you're paying the teams like QA teams and stuff like that too, because there were like issues and things like that, and they had to go back and redo it. They had to go back and make some adjustments and stuff that cost them more money. Is that what I'm seeing here? That's what it seems like. If that is the case, dang, that's even worse. That's like the worst thing ever. So you can read Lin Tao's comment during the pre-recorded message below, transcribed by the game post. All right, so let's see what they said. They said that regarding Destiny 2, partially due to the changes in competitive environment, the level of sales and the user engagement have not reached the expectation we had at the time of the acquisition of Bungie. While we continue to make improvements, we downwardly revised the business projection for the time being and recorded an impairment loss against a portion of the assets at Bungie. Well, let's see. They had there's three modes that they had. You have your what was it? You have Vanguard, which is your PvE, and then you had Gambit, which is your PvPvE, or we'll say PvEVP, and then you have Crucible, which is PvP completely. And the thing is, like, Crucible wasn't really getting any love until like they weren't showing any love or anything or any content until Trials of Osiris came out, and then people were trying to go get flawless and things like that and get their adept weapons and things like that. But that's pretty much all they got. And then Gambit was like, it was good. Like we had an exotic quest for the Malfeasance, which is a really good gun. It's a good hand cannon to use and everything. I don't know how it is now, but it was cool to have and it was cool to see. But then after that, it just died off. And then they just stopped working on Gambit. Now it's like with Vanguard, like, yeah, they have some missions. Like there's always going to be a new strike mission and stuff like that, depending on if there's a new level, which is fine. But the only thing that's really holding Destiny together is like the raids, possibly the dungeons, but mainly it's the raids, because like that's where you get your viewership, is the world's first and like things like that. The funny thing is Twitch Rivals used to do world's first. Like they used to do like a world's first race where anybody and everybody can jump in and play, as long as you have a fire team of 6. Now it's just like I have to go on somebody's Twitch channel or YouTube channel to watch the raid race, which is insane. Or I have to like individually go in go into these people's streams, like Dado stream or Grenadier Jake or Clyde. Like I have to go to individual streams and stuff, which sucks. Not sure why Twitch Rivals dropped it. Maybe it was because like viewership numbers just weren't there or something. I have no idea, but it's just insane. Oh, and sorry, and also that's being ruined because the last raid race that they had, Perpetual Desert, I can't remember that raid. There were so many cheaters that were boosting and stuff like that to get like top 100. So that was a whole problem. So that's why they had to do another one. But anyway, let's keep going. I'm sorry, I rambled on. So they said during the live Q&A portion of the earnings call, Lin Tao was asked whether this impairment could be the start of more write-downs tied to Bungie. She clarified that while the goodwill from the Bungie acquisition is tied to the broader PlayStation segment and thus wasn't impaired, other Bungie assets like Destiny 2 and Marathon still carry value that could be reduced in the future if they don't perform. It said this is an impairment loss of Bungie's intangible assets. Tao said these assets are the target of the impairment loss. Ooh. There is supported by the whole segment, the whole game segment, I'm sorry. So there will not be any impairment loss for goodwill. For this time, Destiny 2's game performance did not reach the expectations we had when we acquired Bungie. We still have some intangible assets and the question of whether there is still any risk remaining or not. Marathon, which is going to be launched in Destiny 2, if the performance does not reach what we expect, of course, there is a risk of impairment loss, but we don't believe this will impact the whole game segment, at least at this point in time. It said that Sony acquired Bungie in early 2022 for 3.6 billion, roughly 1.2 billion of which was set aside as retention incentives for Bungie's employees to keep them employed. Let's see here. The studio has since maintained operational independence, though Sony recently said that Bungie's autonomy is getting lighter as it absorbs more of Destiny 2's developer. It said, let's see here. It said Bungie, meanwhile, is preparing to launch Destiny 2's next major drop, the Star Wars themed expansion Renegades, set to arrive on December 2nd, 2025. Yeah, so you can see here they have a exotic sword, which is it's a kinetic exotic sword, which is basically a lightsaber. So then they said, what are your thoughts on Sony? What are your thoughts on Sony's comments and the state of Destiny 2 right now? Do you think Bungie can bounce back on Renegades? I don't think it. Well, okay, they have to really knock it out of the park with Renegades. Like they have to have consistent, just a ton of content. They have to have consistent content that comes out, like a ton of content. They need to have a lot of it come out, and it has to be like enough to retain people. Like you can't just be like, oh, you beat the campaign and then it's like, or the quest or whatever, you beat the quest and then it's like, then we wait, and then like then the dungeon comes out, we play that, we beat it, we wait, and then then another DLC comes out, then that's when we get a raid, and then we wait. Like that's what a lot of people are tired of. Like we need something that's gonna consistently be there. Update, like change out like some of the worlds, put do something for Crucible, like do something for Gambit, do like, I don't know if Renegades is gonna have new stuff for, if they're gonna have some, I'm not sure if they're gonna have like new stuff for like strikes and stuff as well, but like all that needs to be updated. It needs to be updated. It needs to consistently have content. If not, it's just like you got other games that are coming out, like, or not coming out, but you have games that are already out. A lot of people are playing Arc Raiders right now, and it's popping off. People are playing Battlefield. Call of Duty is coming out as it's recording. They're coming out tomorrow. So it's like a lot of people are going away from Destiny 2, and rightfully so, because there's just not enough content to keep people there. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what Sony and Bungie does. I used to be like a huge fan of Destiny, but after the whole constantly buying expansions, microtransactions, things like that, the last two that I got, Edge of Fate and the Witch Queen, those I got from I got from a company or something like that. They were like, hey, we see that you play Destiny 2 a lot, here's a code, we want you to play the expansion. And then I live streamed the expansion and play it. I didn't play Edge of Fate because if you guys saw the recording of me playing Edge of Fate, like the campaign, I just wasn't happy about it. I was just so bummed out. I was irritated because of the things that they did, especially the Armor 3.0 system. I know people are gonna be like, get over it, it's over, but like that's the one thing that it just annoyed the hell out of me. Like just starting way back over from like your light level 2050, where you're almost like basically a year that you can live in, right? And then going back down to like 100 or something like that. And I think the highest people are at is like 500. So I'm just like, it lost it for me. So anyway, I'm done rambling on. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Destiny 2, and if you guys do like the content, make sure to drop a like, and also follow my Twitch, is where I do these article reads and everything like that. You can hear me stutter and all that stuff, and mess up on reading. And also I'd like to hear you guys' inputs, live or even in the comments. Let me know. All right, stop channel. See you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.